Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Kenelm Tonkin. I'm really pleased. I believe we should be starting on time, and that's exactly what we're going to do with how to raise startup funding without going into debt. Can you imagine? Now, my name, as I say, is Kenelm Tonkin. It's a bit of an unusual name, so if you can say realm or helm, you can pronounce my first name Kenelm. Don't worry, I spell it 50 times every day. Kenelm Tonkin. Now, my promise to you in this webinar is I'm going to show you or give you insight into how I raised $323,750 in startup capital without going into debt. And more importantly, it's not just about me, it's how you can do this too if you're an aspiring business owner who needs capital. But first, before we begin, if I show you how to do this, you've got to promise me not to go crazy with money. Honestly, I need to make sure you're not going to do anything silly with the money that you're going to gain, because after all, it is about starting a business that can lead to creating jobs and profits and financial freedom for you and your family. So this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If it is your desire to have some fast bucks and then move on, you've come to the wrong place. You should leave right now. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I can absolutely assure you of that. This is a proven technique. It's teachable, but it does require hard work on your part. Definitely requires some diligence and industry. But if you master this, what's going to happen is it will change your life. If you can raise capital for your small business, a business that you own, you are going to, the world is going to be your oyster, I promise you. Now, I'm going to offer you a free gift for your attendance because I'm so grateful that you've decided to come along. If you stay until the end, you get a free copy of The Freedom Mission, which is my book, which deals with the end of the process that I'm going to talk to you about. What I'm going to talk to you about is how I got into my first business, how I raised capital for it. But The Freedom Mission is a fast-paced rollick and adventure story that describes in blow-by-blow detail how I sold out of that original startup. And that made me a millionaire. And you'll love the book, right? So you get my free ebook, The Freedom Mission, if you stay right to the end, and I'll tell you how to get that at that point. All right. Why bother raising money for your startup, right? It's a reasonable enough question. Agreed? Well, the truth is, startup funding moves you from mere dream or drift and transcends you into a small business owner who launches, and then ultimately into somebody who is successful, a highly profitable business or one that you've sold for a big payday. That's why we raise money for our startup, because most of us don't have the money to actually start a business by ourselves. So the whole point of this is that you're going to gain 9 amazing freedoms when you fund and launch your own business. 9 amazing freedoms, and here they are. Freedom number 1, the big one, you gain financial independence. Actually, here are my 2 sons sitting out the front of my house one day. You can see I would not be able to have this kind of financial independence and the luxuries that come with financial independence and being able to provide for your family without financial independence, which comes from owning your own business. And just to get to the starting line of having your own business, you need capital to begin, right? And that freedom number 2 is that it gives you time availability. You can do what you want when you want to nurture personal relationships, or, just to have time to yourself is a very important thing that not many of us have a chance to do. You can nurture the friendships you have. Here I am with some of my friends on my yacht. We can only do this because we have the time availability, because we raise money in the first place. and also to take care of family relationships, spend quality time. You can't do this if you're working a 9-to-5 job, or not easily. Freedom number 3 is that you have location flexibility. Now, you don't really have location flexibility, do you, if you're trudging to your 9-to-5 day job on a train or a bus every day, and you certainly can't go to places that you want. Here I am with my children. Don't you love the middle fellow there? Say cheese! Here we are in the French Riviera, all while my businesses are running. And you can have the things you want to do, be where you want to be. Freedom number 4, the reason we bother raising money and starting our own business, is that we have relationship choice. Now, what I mean by this is, if you work a 9-to-5 day job, you have to put up with a relationship with your boss, you have to swallow your pride with customers and deal with suppliers and work colleagues you don't want. But when you have your own business, you can pick the clients, pick the staff. You craft life the way you want to. You pick the relationships. Freedom number 5 is prestige. Now, of course, it means you can afford prestigious items, you can dress well, have a nice car, but I also mean you become a pillar in the community, because the moment you start your own business and you begin employing people and creating jobs, whether you know it or not, it doesn't emerge straight away, but ultimately people start to look at you with respectful eyes because you have created a job. So there is certainly prestige in that. Freedom number 6, valuable skills. When you have a 9-to-5 day job, here's the problem with that. You are trained to do a narrow set of tasks, and you do those repetitiously for your whole career. Now, that's no good if you have to leave that job and you need a broader skill set. And I can tell you right now, as somebody who's been in business for 19 years, nothing gives you portable, commercially valuable skills more than starting your own business. So even if your business fails and you go back to employment, you will have these valuable portable skills that are very commercially sought after by future employers. This is a freedom that you gain simply by raising the money for your business in the first place and launching. Freedom number 7, you gain security. Yes, you gain security for your family, but a lot of people don't think of starting their own business as security. They think of having a safe, secure job in a government department or a large corporation, and actually it isn't true when you think about it. If you work for a large government department or if you work for a large corporation, they have layoffs all the time, and large chunks of people can be terminated from their role. But when you own your own business, even if you have a downturn, which you won't because you're going to work hard to build your business, but even if you do have a downturn and you have to let some people go, guess what? You're the last person to get fired. And there's security in that. Not many people think about that. Now, freedom number 8 is you get to exercise your commercial creativity and flair. You know, with a 9-to-5 job, whether you have fixed job description and tasks, you don't really have much leeway to express yourself commercially, to bring innovation. In fact, often it's just discouraged. But when you have your own business, when you bother to raise a startup capital to launch, you can craft the business to produce the product, produce the service, market the way it wants, present itself to the world, have the certain type of people that you want. You can exercise that creativity the way you want. And freedom number 9 is that you have amplified giving. Now, if you're inclined to give back to the community, philanthropy, donations, charities, and you do this from your own wage and salary, that's great. That's fantastic. But you can do that 10 times more if you have your own business, because if you have your own wage and salary from the business, and on top of that you have a company that's producing a massive profit, and you decide to, say, dedicate 10% of your profit to your favorite cause, Now you're donating money like 11 times more than you could have as an individual. So freedom number 9 is you have amplified giving. So these are the 9 freedoms you gain by raising startup capital and launching your business: financial independence, time availability, location flexibility, relationship choice, prestige, valuable skills, security, creativity, and amplified giving. So, a little bit about me, because here I am doing some talking, and I appreciate you don't really know who I am right now. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on this so you understand where I'm coming from. Here I am. I'm just a normal guy with a beautiful wife and lucky to have 3 amazing children. And I'm driven about them and their happiness and their future. I am providing for my family, just like so many other millions of people, billions of people on this planet. There is nothing special about me. I'm an average Joe. I am a startup funding expert and an angel investor. I invest in small businesses. But, you know, guys, I'm not a fancy Wall Street financier. No way. I am a self-funded, self-made, job-creating Main Street entrepreneur with 19 years continuous experience. I happen in that time to have employed more than 1,476 staff. And I've owned companies here in the United States. I'm speaking to you from New York. I've had companies in my native Australia, in New Zealand, Singapore, and in the Philippines. I've had my name all around the place. I've been around the traps, published in various locations. And I sold my first company for $3.8 million. A second one for a bit less, $750,000, but not a bad payday, right? And a third company for $1.2 million. In 2012, the US government acknowledged my extraordinary ability in business. By the way, guys, that's their term, not mine. And I have, most importantly for you on this webinar, this topic, I have raised startup capital for 12 companies. So I've done this multiple times. Do I have a monopoly on ideas for finding startup money? You know what, honestly speaking, no, I don't. There are plenty of other people who know how to do it. There are many techniques you can use to raise startup capital for small businesses. And there is ingenuity that individuals can exercise to come up with their own techniques. I don't claim to have a monopoly of ideas on this topic. However, I do claim to have raised more than $11 million in 19 years, and amazingly, none of it was from loans, no debt. Thus the topic, how to raise startup funding without going into debt. My startup funding success really boils down to a clutch of repeatable techniques. And repeatable is the important part for you, because I don't want to just talk about things I have done that nobody else can do. I can assure you this is repeatable for anybody just with a little bit of training and information. You can apply them successfully too. If you're an aspiring business owner, if you just want to start a business, however humble it is, this will work for you, what I'm going to show you. So just some quick disclaimers before we start, because I need to manage your expectations. We're in the world of reality, right? Firstly, my success raising startup money is unusual. You need to appreciate that for a start. The secret is a documented technique that I created. And though documented and repeatable, honestly, it may not work for you. It might not. Please understand that. The people who have used this technique, we have an 86% success rate. That is 672 out of 781 participants in programs that I run as at May 2019, this month, have succeeded. 672 or 86% have gained money. And success is determined, I've discovered, by watching these participants and my own experience. It's sustained hard work and it's optimism. It's always keeping an open mind about how you do this. 19 years, the other thing is 19 years of experience. I cannot teach it all in the next 60 to 90 minutes. Honestly, you know this, guys. I know some people have an unrealistic expectation. I'm going to go as fast as I can. And please, a little legal disclaimer. This isn't financial or legal advice. Please consult your own advisors. So, the big topic that I want to impart to you is how to raise startup capital without wasting 6 months of your life trying. And I've discovered this the hard way. You get to cheat. You get the easy way, but I had to do it the hard way a long time ago. And here's what I've discovered when it comes to capital raising success. If we look at 100 people, we take 100 people randomly from the population who on any given day said, "Oh my God, I can't stand this job, I'm out," or "I hate my boss," or "This is just a soul-destroying company that I'm working for, making someone else rich." If we randomly took 100 people that felt that way, what we discover is that 19 of them think about going into business for themselves because they see business as the way out from their malaise or their horror stories with their current 9-to-5 day job. But you notice that means 81 out of 100 people who have a problem with their day job never even think of business as the way out. They think of winning the lottery, becoming a movie star, they think of becoming a sports star, they think of robbing a bank. They don't think of going into business, which really is the only legitimate way to improve society and make a fortune for yourself. And so, of those 19 people have this quick thought that goes into their mind about, why don't I start my own business to get out of this 9-to-5 hellhole? 9 of them are left because the other 10 say, "Oh, you know what? I don't have any money to start my own business, so I'm out. I have to stick to my day job." Only 9 are left out of the 100. And then what they do, those 9, they go along to their family and they just mention they want to start their own business, and they ask their mum, their dad, their brother, their sister, somebody, they say, "Hey, can you help me out and let's start a business?" And they get knocked back by their family, mainly because it's just a spur of the moment thing. There's only 7 left. So then the more motivated people just trundle down and make a general inquiry at the local bank in Main Street. And they say, "Oh, what do I have to do to get a business loan?" And they get discouraged by bankers because bankers aren't optimistic, effervescent people, are they? They're box tickers. So there's only 5 people left. And after speaking to the bank, there are only 4 left out of the 100. And these 4 people have got a little bit of grit on average. They are a little bit more serious than the average 100 who complain about their job. And of those 4 who start to take the process of raising money for their startup seriously, 3 have success. 3 actually cobble together the money they need to raise to start their business. They raise startup funding so that they can get to the starting line of business, which is to actually launch. So what does this tell you when you look at these stats? Of 100 people who hate their job, only 4 seriously look at startup funding. But of those 4 who do take capital raising seriously, 3 secure their startup finance. Which is to say, guys, 75% success rate for the serious. Got it? So if you hang in there and if you're deadly serious about raising money so you can start your own business, you actually have a 75% success rate. When I say seriously, I mean people who show persistence, optimism, and grit. And more importantly, even than these inherent traits, I see people who are curious. They are looking for information. They want training. They actively search out knowledge, and they're looking for mentors into how to raise startup capital. That's what I mean by serious. Yeah? Training, knowledge, and mentoring, like doing this free webinar that you're doing now, you're exhibiting one of those signs that you have some seriousness about this topic. And you see, what I do is I help aspiring entrepreneurs reach their summit. I lift them up with this knowledge as a mentor and as a business angel. I give them safety harnesses so they don't fall by showing them a proven technique, and then I reach out and with my hand I pull them to the top, to the starting point where they can see the whole world before them, which is the world of owning your own business. Now, another thing to bear in mind about money. You might raise some money, but beware of the startup funding trap. Here's what it looks like. If you raise an inadequate amount of capital at the beginning, which is like now, when you start your business, you have the inevitable thing of insufficient cash. And the moment that happens, you're in this cycle or this trap. You have insufficient cash, and that leads to not being able to afford to hire a team. And if you can't afford to hire a team, guess what? You're doing what 99.9% of all small business operators do, which is the owner tries to do everything him or herself because he has to, right? And the thing is, not everything gets done because there's insufficient time. There's only, you know what, there's only 18 hours in a day. There's not 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep. And, you know, even if you have a 6 hours sleep, there's only still, there's only 20 hours in a day that you can work. So you can't get everything done. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of tasks that a business owner has to perform. And if you don't have a team to help, and you have to do everything do everything yourself as the business owner, you don't have enough time, and you have to cut corners. And one of the things that where corners are cut most of all is in that area most business owners know nothing about, and that's marketing. And when marketing suffers, because, you know, most business owners, they know all about the product or the service that they're delivering, but they don't know much about marketing, so they cut corners with marketing. And when marketing suffers, guess what? You have low revenue. And when you have low revenue, you have insufficient cash, and you're back in this never-ending cycle, which I call the startup funding trap. And the ultimate conclusion of this trap is it's a never-ending spiral downwards towards bankruptcy. Your business shutters, and that's the end of the story. Now, I do not wish this for you. I don't want that to happen for you. So the lesson here is, even if you raise some money, it might not be enough. You need sufficient startup capital. That's a very important lesson to learn. Now, do you want the easy way that put $323,750 into my first startup? You want to know how I did it? All right. Yes? I'm looking for a yes, guys. Brilliant. That's fantastic. Okay. Here are 3 startup funding secrets. Secret number 1 is your seed capital is hidden in plain sight. Secret number 2 is you can find 100 investors from 15 funding sources, and approach 10 of them in just 4 weeks. Secret number 3, you must research, not pitch. Okay, let me go through these and just elaborate what I mean. Secret number 1, your seed capital is hidden in plain sight. Sounds crazy, right? Well, what do I mean? It's hidden, but it's in plain sight. Your seed capital is hidden in plain sight, the reason is because, number 1, you need skin in the game. If you're going to start your own business, you've got to put in something, right? And seed capital means the bare minimum that you need. And what I mean by it's in plain sight is you scrape it together, you cobble it together. In fact, I've identified 52 ways you can scrape together the money. So you've got a little bit of grub money or seed capital. And what I'm going to do is show one way, which is what I call sell your junk. Now, bear in mind, this is just one way to gather together a little bit of money. 1 out of 52 ways. We can't possibly go through all the 52 ways in this webinar. So let's just do one. Sell your junk. Okay, here's Tammy and here's her story. Tammy was working in the insurance industry and she was just sick of it. She was right up to her neck in it and she had had enough. She wanted to follow her passion and open an interior design business, something quite different, right? But she fell into the little negative, pessimistic thought that enters most aspiring business owners' minds, which is, she said, but I've got no money. How can I create this interior design business? Actually, guys, she had the money all stored up in stuff, in consumer items that she had around her place. She didn't look at these products that she had around her house as seed capital for a business. So to raise seed capital, she sold her junk, as I call it, to family, to friends, to neighbors, and mainly on eBay. And it took her a while to do it, right? And the result was within 3 months, she had quit her day job in insurance. And last year, her interior design business made $394,000 in sales. Wow, right? She raised $14,732 just by looking at her place and the stuff she had around her home, looking at it with different eyes, converting items she didn't use or she could do without and converted it into cash. There's a lot of cash she had there, right? Fantastic story. Your seed capital is hidden in plain sight. If you look at your life in different ways, like Tammy was shown an ability just to sell some stuff around her place. There are 52 techniques I have uncovered for finding seed capital in plain sight, even though it might be hidden to you at first. Secret number 2, you can find 100 investors from 15 funding sources and approach 10 of them in just 4 weeks. Don't believe me? Watch this. I think of a concept I've called the startup funding pyramid. First of all, we have to identify the places where you go for startup capital. And as I say, there are 15 of them. In 3 networks. Your first network is your personal network. So one of the sources is you. You start with you, as Tammy just did there. You have to start with you. You take responsibility for your own destiny. Your spouse or your partner is part of your personal network. You can ask your spouse or partner for money, or may have some that can provide for your startup capital. Your family, obviously. And I don't just mean your mother and father, your brother and sister. No, I mean your uncles, I mean your cousins, I mean your grandparents, I mean your stepbrothers, stepsisters, I mean your first cousin once removed. I mean all of them, the wider extended family. Your friends are a source of capital, a legitimate source of capital, as you're going to uncover. The more friends you have, the better. and even your acquaintances, people who you don't necessarily see or make time to see specifically in a social setting, but they may be friends of your friends, or you may meet them in a social setting through other means, but you're not actually going to seek them out specifically, but they know you, and they're acquaintances. So that's your personal network. Now you've also got your second network, and this is one hardly anyone thinks of. It is your professional network. Here I mean by colleagues, these are your fellow employees of your current employer, the company that you work for, your co-workers, your boss, the people who work beneath you at your current employer. They are part of your startup funding pyramid. Another source of capital are your competitors. By this I mean the employees of your employer's rivals. If you work for a company that has a competitor, those employees are part of your market because you may well know them because they work in the same industry. Another source of capital in your professional network are suppliers. That is, the employees of your company's suppliers. So people you deal with as suppliers. And finally, the customers of your employer, people that you're dealing with and servicing every day. These people know you. They are part of your professional network. Not many people think of them in terms of startup funding. And then finally, you have your third network for raising startup capital, and that is your financial network. People like me, business angels, people who are high net worth individuals who are open to investing in small businesses, venture capitalists, people who invest institutional money, the public markets, and banks and assorted lenders. That's one that a lot of people think about. Crowdfunding, of course, there are several sites now you can go to crowdfund. And of course, the government has a range of programs and funding initiatives to help small businesses get on their feet. This is what I call the startup funding pyramid, 15 sources of capital. There's one other hidden source of capital, but I can't go into that for this webinar because it's a huge topic in its own right. But these are your traditional sources of startup capital. Okay, let's talk about Justin and his case study, how he used the startup funding pyramid to raise money for his brand new enterprise. He had a great job working at Salesforce as a software engineer, so he was off to a fairly good start. And the thing about Justin is, from his work, he had an amazing idea for a bolt-on product which would complement Salesforce itself. He did have some money, but he certainly didn't have enough to start, and that worried him until he met me. So I showed him, stepped him through the startup funding pyramid. He found one additional source of capital, and he was on his way. So here's what his startup funding pyramid looked like. He put in some seed money that he cobbled together, and he just did what a lot of people do. He went to the bank, right? Himself and the bank. That was his combination of funding. And he raised $32,500 from that exercise. And that was enough to get him underway. Let's look at Natalie's story. Natalie was completely different. She was very extroverted, is very extroverted, a lovely, lovely woman. And she started a fundraising campaign for a business idea she had early by just yakking away and telling all her friends about it. She left a low-paid personal assistant job at an advertising agency when she actually had the money, and she launched a virtual assistant business because she saw an opening in that market and that service. She raised money from 3 people that she already knew. Here's what her startup funding pyramid looked like. She raised money herself, and she raised money from 3 friends. So there were 4 of them went in together. So people that she knew already. It was quite simple, but a little bit more than just, and she had 4 people involved in hers from 2 funding sources. She raised $37,900 and she was on her way. She's loving the 9 freedoms, being a business owner now herself. And then I promised to tell you a little bit about my story because mine was more complex. So my case study is that way back in August 2000, I was a business novice. I'm sort of showing my age now. I'm getting to be a bit of a dinosaur, right? August 2000, I feel old just saying that. I don't feel it though, because I remember very clearly I was working for a business-to-business conference company. And I had paid off a little bit of my mortgage, so I had a little bit of equity in my place, not much though. And I had this yearning passion to start my own conference company. I thought I could do it better. But you know what, guys, I had nowhere near enough money. I was just like everyone else. I was a wage and salary earner. I didn't have enough money. And I knocked on 57 doors. 5 months of haplessly trying to find backers, knocking on door after door after door. I did everything wrong trying to find money. But amazingly, as I'll discuss in a minute, people started approaching me. I couldn't believe it. And so I ended up with 3 sources of capital, and they were unplanned. They came to me. Here's what my startup funding pyramid looked like. Of course, I had to put in some money. Everyone does. However small, you have to put in some seed capital yourself. I had a family member put in money for me. And then I had a friend chip in quite a bit of money. He had faith in what I was putting, my business plan. And then I had a supplier of my current employer way back in August 2000. Who saw that my service and my work ethic was very strong, and he had such faith in me that he chipped in money as well. He happened to be a venture capitalist by trade, but he was the source of the funding was that he was in my professional network because he supplied my company. And so I had 4 sources of capital for that startup. I raised $323,750 from that effort. Like, wow. Like, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe that I'd even raised that amount of money. And yet, I've seen and taught hundreds of people just to follow these techniques that I'm starting to share with you. You see, startup financing success looks like this. You're not going to Goldman Sachs. You're going to go to the startup funding pyramid and assemble your own unique combination of the 15 funding sources. That's how you do it. You can find 100 investors from 15 sources and approach 10 of them in just 4 weeks. Hundreds of people have done this with me. You can too. Now let's move on to the third secret, which is you must research, not pitch. Now what I mean by this is that I want to just elaborate a bit on my experience way back in August 2000 and what I learned. You see, back then it was the dot-com bubble. Everything was on fire. Nobody could do anything wrong in business. In fact, it was a few months earlier than this. March is when everything blew up. But as I said before, I was doing what all these budding entrepreneurs were doing. I thought I was in the big time. I was knocking on the doors of ABN AMRO and private equity firms and Citi and Lehman Brothers, and I was knocking on the door of Goldman Sachs, all the big players, all the big venture capitalists, and I had this unique business plan that nobody else could match, and obviously I was going to get millions of dollars in funding. And boy, did I get a reality check. The people that I knew began to say, "Oh no, it's not quite what we want." And I remember there's several conversations where they were patiently listening to me, and they'd start to give me feedback like, "You haven't allocated enough money to develop your website." And I would assure them that I had, and they said, "No, we've been down this path many times with entrepreneurs. No, you haven't." And I said, and I found myself in this surreal experience where I was out of body, and I was looking at myself arguing with investors. Can you believe it? Like, it's their money I was asking for. It was their buy-in, their trust I was looking for, and here I was arguing with them, and we hadn't even got to first base. And I remember, meeting after meeting, I had this inflated sense of myself and what my business proposal was worth. And, I kept making mistakes with these investors until after 57 people, I was at the point where I was being referred to other people that I didn't know, and they were referring me to 3 degrees of separation, 4 degrees, until I was just meeting anybody around town in the city, and I was just willing to pitch to anybody who would listen. And another guy said, "Oh, this is way too early for me. I'm not investing so early." Yada yada yada, and it just went on and on until I was almost at the point of giving up. I was completely dejected. And, along the way, I sought advice from people. What am I doing wrong? I went to friends, I went to people I knew, and I said, "Look, can you have a look at this business plan?" I went to my accountant, I went to lawyers, I went to salespeople I knew, I went to marketers, I went to logistics people. I went to everyone just to say, "Look, where do you think I'm going wrong?" And they would offer their advice, and they'd chip in, and so on and so forth. It went. And you know what began to happen? Just at the point of despair, where my will to go on was just about broken, where I had no more willpower, just one meeting later, at the end of simply asking advice and showing all the hallmarks of somebody who'd been beaten and had humility about him, one of the people I was speaking to said those magic words, "Canel, I know you probably have other people in mind as an investor in your business, but would you consider penciling me in for a certain amount of money?" I was stunned. I was gobsmacked. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. This person was asking me if they could have permission to invest in my business. And the funny thing was, that happened 3 times in 1 week, after 5 months knocking on doors. Suddenly there was something about me, my plan, or how I was presenting myself, which gave people faith and trust and hope. And I was on my way. Let's recap. I'm just a simple guy with a wife and 3 children. I provide for my family. I've been in business a long time. I've been recognized for my successes in various places. We've gone through the 9 freedoms you get by starting your own business. There are 9 of them. We've talked about the startup funding trap. What happens if you don't raise enough capital in the first place? I've elaborated on secret number 1, that your seed capital is hidden in plain sight if you just have eyes to see where that capital is. I've talked about Tammy's story, how she found $14,732, and that went on. She left an insurance business and started her own business, which made nearly $400,000 in sales last year. I elaborated on secret number 2, that you can find 100 investors from 15 funding sources and approached 10 of them in 4 weeks. I showed you the 15 sources of traditional funding, which I call the startup funding pyramid. We talked about Justin's story and how he raised capital, $32,500, his combination of sources from the startup funding pyramid. We talked about Natalie's story. She had a different combination and raised $37,900. And of course, we talked about my story, which is a little bit more complex, and how I raised $323,750, all using the same techniques. And then I just elaborated on you a true-to-life story which I learned and I've imparted to the students of my programs, that you must research with people, not try to sell them. Just ask advice and research. And in that process of research, they get to know you and build trust, and then the rewards will come. We've also discussed the capital raising success ladder, how if you take 100 randomly selected people who can't stand their job and want a better life, how 4 of them are serious about raising money and 3 of them are actually successful. So 4 are serious. That's a 75% success rate for the serious people, meaning serious means persistent optimism, grit, but also what you're doing right now, training, knowledge, mentoring, right? You're seeking it out. You're at this webinar with me. You are showing you are serious about raising startup money to launch your own business. All credit to you. We've been over this. You are seeking training, knowledge, and mentors to help you with that. And I've told you that I've had 672 people out of 781, as at now, go through programs that I offer and raise startup capital for themselves. So that's an 86% success rate, better than the average of 75, right? We've talked about how I lift people up to the summit of business success, get to the starting line so they can see the landscape before them and launch their business. Never, ever give up. That's what I say to you. Now, how many of you feel a little bit like this right now? I've been through a lot, right, over the last 50 minutes or so. We've covered a lot of material in a short space of time, yes? So let me ask you this question. Would you agree that it's been time well spent so far? Yes? I hope you do. So here's the thing. I can't cover everything you need in just 1 hour. Even if we had all day, I still couldn't cover it all. You know, it's 19 years experience. I think you can tell I've rushed a bit to deliver all this material to you. And there's so much more information you need, which I haven't had time to cover, right? So I've put together a special offer for you, which if you're interested, I will elaborate on. If you're not interested, that's fine, no problem. But I've put together a process for you where you can gain all the information to enable you to regularly and reliably be able to raise startup capital for your business. Are you interested? Would you like me to continue? Great. Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's fantastic. Well, I call it the Startup Funding Formula, introducing the Startup Funding Formula. This is what it is. It's a live accountability program. It's led by me personally. It runs for 4 weeks, so you're in and out. None of this 2-3 month program. It's 4 weeks, and it's 3 sessions each week, so it's intense. You have to complete weekly exercises in this accountability program. And your progress is required and it's monitored. So you can't fall through the cracks. I actually care about the people who participate. I want them to gain startup capital. So your progress is required and monitored in the startup funding formula. And if you don't make your deadline for certain exercises, there is a consequence if the deadline is missed. That is, we fine people $25. It's just a nominal amount of $25, but to enter this program, you have to agree to a consequence if you don't meet the deadline as an added incentive to give motivation to get the job done. At the end of the 4 weeks, I want you to get the job done. You see, the program is sort of broken up into various topics. As you can see, in week 1, we go into more detail about the networks I've just relayed to you, the #1 foolproof technique for self-funding. I've only just touched upon that in this webinar. And identifying common mental blocks which are limiting your financing options right now, and how we just unlock those so that you can move ahead. By the end of week 1, you'll identify and record at least 50 people who could back you. You're going to set up what I call the automatic 10% startup fund, and you're going to begin what I call the 1 in 3 startup funding accelerator. You're really going to find ways that you're not pursuing now to put in more seed capital. In week 2, we're going to actually calculate how much money you need for your startup. We're going to actually do a capital requirement calculation. 99% of business owners don't even think about this. We're going to talk about the advantages of debt versus equity. I'm going to share with you a covert funding secret that's really worked for the 12 times I've raised capital. At the end of the 2nd week, you're going to identify at least another 50 people who could back you. You'll know the exact dollar value you need to raise. You'll have scheduled at least 10 appointments with potential backers. You'll have met 5 people in your network, and you'll prepare what I call collaborative fundraising notes. There's a lot of things to do. In week 3, I'm going to show you scripts and pitch and the messaging that you use. 12 instant red flags which instantly turn off professional investors like me. Where basically you're going to hold meetings with potential investors as soon as week 3. You're going to schedule more appointments. You're going to have meetings, and you're going to complete what I call the Am I Investor Ready questionnaire, which will really clarify what your options are in terms of investors. Week 4, there's so much more. We're going to learn, about banks, how to raise money through debt. We're going to learn about crowdfunding, government programs. You're going to meet another 5 people in your network, hold more meetings, and you're going to complete a business loan calculator. Right? There's a lot to do in 4 weeks. This is not a program of endless videos. You're live. You're not just clicking endless videos. You have to interact. It's not passive. You have to do exercises and report back. You're not alone. You're coached by me, a business angel and entrepreneur. There's nowhere to hide. And it is not self-paced. You are going to be put under a healthy degree of pressure to get the job done. At the end of the 4 weeks, God help us, you are going to have approached a number of investors for money. Yeah? So I say it's not an online course. You won't be sitting alone at your desk clicking videos at 1.5 times the play speed to get through them, and then at the end think, well, what have I actually done? Nothing. I've just watched videos or done reading, right? It's not that. You're actually going to get things done. You're going to finish the 4 weeks having taken practical, tangible steps to securing your funding. Real names, real people, real approaches. And here is my 100% money back guarantee. You will identify 100 potential investors. You will approach 10 of them for funding, and you will do it in 4 weeks. If you follow my techniques, follow my program, and you haven't achieved those 3 things, it's free. I will give all the money back, no questions asked. If you don't achieve them, you do the work, I don't actually want your money because I'll feel like I've failed as a program provider. So here's what you gain in the startup funding formula. You gain a 4-week live accountability program. The value for that is $2,997. You gain the capital requirement calculator. The value for that is $197. You gain the secure investor meeting sample email swipe files. So you get the whole sequence of emails that you use to actually reach investors. That sequence, which works really well, the value for that is $197. You get the investor ready business plan and the presentation deck kit for $697. You know what? It takes hours and hours and hours to put together business plan and presentation decks. Honestly, people say, what should go in the business plan? And, what should I put in my deck? Listen to a business angel. Listen to me. I've given you the templates for $697,000. That will save you a 1 week's work right there. Then you'll have a one-on-one private coaching call with me where we sit down and really discuss in a strategy call what your next steps are, and we follow through with you. It's a simple call. I put a value of that on my time, $497. You get a business loan calculator which absorbs 37 major lenders and their current interest rates and terms. This has all been collated for you so we can mimic the process. It's $197 in value. The total value for the startup funding formula just with these things is $4,782, right? Now, I had two choices when I could put together the startup funding formula. I could offer this at a cheap and nasty price, so I'd make it as cheap as possible and try to sell to everyone. But honestly, I'm not in the business of offering low quality. I don't really want to do that, and I only want to work with people who are motivated. So the other choice was I could offer it at a fair investment for the people who participate. So just at a fair but slightly higher investment. So, boom, if we can do that, now you have me 100% dedicated to your success, right? They were my choices. In addition to the things that I've say are included in the startup funding formula, I'm going to offer this bonus also. I am actually going to give you my contact list of active business angels. That is, I'm going to open my Rolodex to you, my contact list. The value of this is $977. It would take you a long time to identify the names and the contact details and their investment criteria for all these people. I am going to include it as a special bonus offer today. The value is $997. And bonus number 2, instead of going to a big legal law firm, a big city law firm, to put together in investor shareholder agreements, legal deals, and all the rest that you have to when you take on an investor, I'm going to give you the template that I have that costs me $4,600 from a big city law firm. You get the template as part of the startup funding formula. I paid $4,600 for that. So let's just be clear. Here's what you get in the startup funding formula. You get a 4-week live accountability program worth $2,997. You get the capital requirement calculator worth $197. You get the secure investor meeting sample email swipe files, $197. The investor ready business plan and the presentation deck kit for $697. You get one-on-one private coaching call with me, 19-year veteran entrepreneur and business angel. That's worth $497. You get the aggregated business loan calculator for $197. You get bonus number 1, my Rolodex of active business angels, $997. You get bonus number 2, the investor legal agreement, the shareholder agreement, $4,600 in value. All up, the value that is provided in the startup funding formula is $10,379. Now, if all this did was show you how to calculate the true dollar value you need to raise. Or if all this did was quickly eliminate funding sources inappropriate in your personal circumstances. Or if all this startup funding formula did was fast track your research to identify potential investors, a real time saver, or secure a meeting, just one, with a receptive backer. Or if it helped you practice applying for a business loan. Or if all this did was just win you one investor, just one. Or even allow you to quit your 9-to-5 day job, or if it helped you actually fund your own business. Would it be worth it? Would this program be worth it? Surely it would be. Here's what you gain, right? You gain the live accountability program. You gave the big capital requirement calculator, the swipe file of all the emails to investors. You get the business plan, the presentation deck. You get the private one-on-one coaching call with me, the business loan calculator. You get that as well. You get my whole Rolodex, all my contacts of business angels. I'll introduce you. You get the investor legal agreement, the shareholder agreement. You get all of this. The total value is $10,379. But what value are you really getting if you get the startup funding you need? What's financial independence really worth to you? Is it worth $5,000, $10,000, $25,000? How much would you invest to gain lifestyle freedom? You can see why others value this at $10,379, and you can see why it's a phenomenal deal at even $5,000. But because you're on this webinar, right, your investment is only $499. That's all it is, $499. You can click the application link now. I've just posted that up there. You just click the link and it takes you to apply for the course. The way this works is you don't have to pay all the $499 up front. It's very simple. I have to find the right people for this course. So first of all, you apply. You click the link that I've just provided you. The offer ends in 20 minutes. You apply, and there's a $99 application fee in the application. Look, the application process takes 5 minutes. You could do it right now. You could do it right now while you're hearing me talk. It's as simple as 5 minutes. I ask a little bit about the business idea you have. If it's a part-time business that you want to transform into a full-time operation, you'll have more information for me about that business. How much capital that you think you need to raise. I want to know a little bit about you. We go through some just basic terms involved in the program, and you put in a $99 application fee. Now, if your application is successful, and you'll find that out up to 3 days later, then you pay the remaining $400. So the total is $499, nothing else to pay. And, you know, that's it. And I should just say one other thing. If your application is unsuccessful, you receive that $99 back. Absolutely. You get that back within 3 days. It's no risk. I'm not going to take your application fee if you're unsuccessful. You get that back, right? So there's no risk. There's no reason not to even apply and try. Why not? Why not find out all about this course and to find out whether you're appropriate for it? You see, the thing is, you have two choices now. I had two choices, but now you have two choices. You can do nothing, achieve nothing. You can play it safe. You can never dare. You can never raise money or launch your startup, right? More procrastination. Or you can apply to enroll now. You can make a bold declaration to everyone about your future. You could be a decisive action taker. It's your choice. It sits with you right now. There is a 100% money back guarantee, not only for the application fee, which I've just discussed, but also for the program itself. If you don't identify 100 investors and approach 10 of them in 4 weeks, and you do all the work in the program, you receive an instant 100% refund. Click the link to the applications now. You can go to that link that I put there on the PowerPoint slides, or you can just go to the link that I provided there in the offer that's in the system. You get a refund. If you don't get what I am describing to you, you get your money back. It really is risk-free. Your total investment is only $499. Apply now. When you apply, your investment is only $99. That's fully refundable if you're not accepted into the program. And if you are accepted into the program, then you pay $400 and that's it. It's done and dusted. You're in, and we start in June, in a couple of weeks' time. The real question is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? If it does just half of what I've claimed, it pays for itself, right? You can't lose. Here's what you gain: the 4-week live accountability program worth $2,997, the capital requirement calculator worth $197. You gain the sample email swipe files worth $197. Boy, do they work. You really get good responses. You gain the investor ready business plan and presentation deck. Just slot in the information. The template is done for you for $697. One-on-one private coaching call, that's a value of $497. Meet with me. You get your aggregated business loan calculator for $197. You get the bonus. You get my entire contact list of business angels, active investors. You get the legal documents you need to bring people into your business and get serious about it. If everyone places a value of $10,379 on this, I'm saying it's only $499. You just apply. The application fee is $99. You get that back, I'm telling you, if you're not accepted into the course. And if you are accepted into the course and we can work together, which I really look forward to, you just pay another $400. You're done and dusted. In more than $10,000 in value for only $499. Okay. Are there any questions? We're going to turn it over to you now guys, because you know it's been now a little over an hour. Yes, the refunds do apply. You get the refunds within 3 days. The refunds are within 3 days. There's no risk of that. You definitely get your refunds back. There's just this is not get rich quick. I'm serious about this. If it's not for you, I don't want your money, and I wish you all the best of luck and success. The consequence, the $25 fee. Yes, when you sign up and do the application fee, it makes clear that if you don't have the weekly exercises completed by deadline, that the consequence is you're fined $25. It's just $25, no more than that. It's just a little gentle prod, a little stick to say, come on, let's get some motivation going. We'll donate the $25 to charity or something. It's not about the money. It's about your motivation. So that's, yes. Do we cover FICO scores? Yes. If you're interested in debt financing, you want to go to a bank, yes, we cover how to rehabilitate your FICO scores. We have some expert advice brought in on that. And yes, we talk about venture capitalists. Somebody else is asking about that. Yep, we do that. How about raising capital from scratch? Somebody said. Well, I've really alluded to a little bit of that. You're really getting to the topic of bootstrapping now, which is a whole world unto itself. But when I talked to you earlier about the 52 methods to cobble together some capital, some seed capital yourself, I gave one, which is sell your junk. We're really getting into that realm you're talking about. Yes, we explore a lot of that in the startup funding formula. No question about it. Okay. There's only 12 minutes left now to apply before applications close. I really appreciate those questions. That's great. Now, I promised you at the beginning that if you stayed until the end, there was a free gift. I promised you that I would give you the Freedom Mission, which describes not the early days when I was knocking on 57 doors before I finally found the money, but the glorious exit strategy of that first business of mine that transformed me into a millionaire. How I did it, and it was described in sort of adventurous Indiana Jones style story. It's really an adventure story more than anything else. It's an adventure story laced with business gems and insights. I promised you would get that if you stayed to the end. Now, to get my free ebook, The Freedom Mission, just send me a short email to advice@entrepreneurs.life, and I will email it to you within the next hour. Not a problem. Advice@entrepreneurs.life, and the Freedom Mission will come your way. In fact, if I have a glass of water after this webinar, I will do it straight then. So you'll certainly get it pretty quickly. And I commend it to you. I hope you enjoy it. It really be good, very, very good value. So that's it, guys, for this webinar. I see there are no more questions. There's 11 minutes left. I'm open book now. If you want to ask questions, I'm still here. If there are things you want to ask about the startup funding formula, yes, that's right. The process, the application process, is just a mere 5 minutes. It's nothing to do. You'll find it quite interesting, actually. And within 5 minutes you could have applied, no problem. The application process closes in 10 minutes from now. And I think that's about a wrap. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you can see there's a lot of information I've got that I'm just open and willing to share. I believe the world is a better place with highly motivated, aspiring business owners and entrepreneurs. I believe providing goods and services that people want at prices they can afford is what drives society forward and advances us and progresses us. Without entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs like you, the world would be a lesser place. So I commend you. I want you to get you to that very start line. I want you to get the money you need to start your business so that then you can enter the ranks of entrepreneurs. I'm humbled and grateful that you've listened. I hope to see you on the inside of this program. Again, this is Canel Tonkin signing off. Thank you for participating in the Startup Funding Formula, and I wish you all the very best. Take care. Bye-bye for now.